kick off because I've still got no charts. They're still building.
No problem. No problem. All right, I will grab the screen, and even though I should have it, I do have it. Well, good morning to all. We are in the final day of the
Countdown?
show this week. The final what? Sorry, final
The
chapter.
final countdown.
um, we are in
Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun.
we in interesting. We pushed quite hard. Certainly on the FTSE, we pushed quite hard towards this upper level here, and we are finally seeing some pullback now, but I don't think it's going to be anything too significant. Really, it becomes now these become buying opportunities more than anything else. Let me just bring this up on this point here. My problem with, I've had a problem with the buying opportunity right from the start of the week, really, and I still have got a bit of a problem with that. Let me just bring this over here. Yeah, we're probably going through that area there. Looks like that's got the most touches. So we're just nesting ourselves there. I'd quite like to see price under here if I'm going to be taking the short now. I think coming down to that particular point for a potential bounce is the most likely. We'll have to see how stocks do open up. I haven't heard too much negativity out there, but I am, there's a bit of a downward move in all of these. We took another Dow Jones Industrials trade yesterday, which ended up popping to the upside and looks like it's weakening somewhat. But this was we got in. Can't remember what it was now, about 67 or something. Can't remember, but it's popped to the upside, taking us out, and forming another pattern. Looks like a Head and Shoulders forward slash a diamond. So the markets look like they are putting in some sort of technical, difficult to say a weakness or reversal, but certainly some technical, possibly a technical correction on a very, very short term time frame right now. So what we probably need to see is it break through some of these major levels. It's only kind of like giving us some weak signals that it's breaking through some minor and intraday micro levels. So it's got to break through these major levels if we're going to take on a genuine short to the downside, and probably looking at a bounce here. So market comes down to that point, and we can anticipate a long at that particular stage. But if it doesn't hold, then a close underneath it would get me interested. But otherwise, mate, I'm not too interested. Right, market has just opened up, so let's see what we get early doors. If the other option, of course, is that we look for a short in. Actually, that daily pivot doesn't look bad, does it? That gives us 50. I might try and trade that daily pivot. Just have a quick look at whether there's a. Yeah, I might take that daily pivot on and see if I can get a trade here on the FTSE on a short. So I'm not going to be able to write this up, I don't think. I think I'd quite like to see that daily pivot tested. Maybe even the high there. Nice tight stops as well. So it's going to be sort of like above, maybe above 60.50, 62.51. But I want to just see this daily pivot touched. Looks like it is being rejected at this moment in time. Might even put it in 62.30 is my short. Now, where's my pen? Oh, there it is. Right, so the idea here is for a short on the FTSE at 62.30. There's the entry, and then the stop loss is going to be at, let's put it at 62. I want it kind of out the way, but yeah, the actual stop is probably going to be about 62.40. But we can use 62.50 to give us room. So the 62.40 level is where we're going to get out. So 62.40, but we're going to put the stop at 62.50. And then if it closes above these areas, then we'll take the trade off. Okay, so that's going to be the idea, and I'm going to put that order in. See if we can get a winner here. Sell limit at 62.30. Doesn't really matter as long as it stops above the 62.40. We put it at 45. Doesn't really make any difference there. There we go. So that will give us a potential trade, and all I'll be looking to do is just trade it to 61.80 is going to be the take profit area here. We're potentially fighting the move, so it's going to be a TP 62.80. And it might end up being take profit all, but we'll take some off the table there if it comes down, and then we'll see what to do with the other half. Maybe we'll manage it with tight stops on the other half. So there you go, mate. There's the plan. There's a little trade in the market. Let's see what we get, if anything.
Awesome, mate. Okay, happy days. Should we set up the pound then?
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do that. Oh, I got a new toy.
Oh,
another new toy from Kumar.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Haven't seen Kumar for ages.
No, he's a busy boy at the moment. He's
okay.
said he'll be back very soon. Righto. Now, what he's done for me is given me the ability to see the OHLC of whichever bar I want. How good is that? Which means I can trade this bar here and get my entry and stop loss levels instantly. So actually, we'll use that straight away. On this one, just can't read the price there anyway. But up here, we've got the high. I want the high of that bar, which is 130.82. So we're going at 130.83, which I've got it on my chart. The low is, pardon me, 130.66, and we'll go in at stop loss 130.65. So that is the long order. There we go. Now for the sell order, we need the lowest bar, which is this one. And to do that, we just go 1, 2, 3, bar number 3 on OHLC. And then we get the low and high of this bar. So we want an entry at the low of this bar. 130.49 less 1 is 130.48. So that'll be the sell there. Sell stop. 130.48. And the stop loss on that will be the high of the bar, 130.59 plus 1. So 130, what? Yeah, 60. 130.60. There we go. Now take profit levels. These are all important, of course, under this new system. Now, what we need to do is find a resistance level, or we use half the bar as our first take profit. So first take profit level on the long, or the first resistance, would be there-ish, DR2. I think I'd agree with that. You could argue there. I'll go with 12 pips. So 12 pips will be TP1, which will be there at 130.94, is it? What are we going at? Can't remember now. Should know, shouldn't I? Hi, 130.
Need an EA for that, mate.
130.59. Oh, hang on, wrong bar now. Let's switch bars. I'll get used to this. I'll be much quicker at this, obviously. 1. That's the chainsaw out the back. You can hear my. I'm sorry. The high is 130.82, so 130.94 will be TP1, and we'll just change that to the exact level, 130.94. And TP1 on the short is pretty obvious, isn't it? We don't really need to measure that, do we? It is daily pivot. There's nothing in between. It coincides with these lows over here. So we'll just go daily pivot plus 1 pip, which will be 130.36 will be our first take profit on the short, 130.36. Which is, I'll get that right. Around about there. Okay, so when we hit TP1, you notice I didn't say if, I said when we hit TP1, we remove half the position and move our stops the same level. Although in this case, we're going beyond 1-to-1 by the look of it on the short. Not too sure about the long. Hang on, we'll check that. No, we're not. So we are beyond 1-to-1 on the short if we get taken in short. So we'll close half of the position at that point. And because we're beyond 1-to-1, we'll move our stops to entry. On this one, it won't be beyond 1-to-1, so we'll move our stops 12 pips from entry. So in this case, that would be in that vicinity there somewhere, around about 130.70-ish. I can't remember the exact figures, but that will be where you'll move your stop loss to. And then the rest is for free, if that happens to be the case. And we will micromanage that in need. Righto, so entry level on the long. Let me just change the color of that so I can actually read it. That might be
surprising. I think it's been a surprising move actually in the pound overnight. Even though I am seeing that the euro pound is a bit stronger. Didn't quite come down to that monthly pivot. Surprised the pound, but then it looks like again we're back to dollar weakness again, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, maybe. It's hard to say. I see the potential for lower prices, but as I said yesterday, I think it's gone into a range, frankly.
Yeah.
And I don't expect too much out of it. Let me have a look at the. Yeah, if you, I can make a case for probably everything on the dollar index, and certainly I can make a case for we've got equal highs here, we've got equal lows here. That to me looks like a range that has begun. So I would expect this can go down to here, then bounce, then down. And that's why I'm not interested in it. I just don't know what it's going to do next, frankly.
Yeah.
I still see this area up here as interesting, but how can you trust it right now? I just can't.
No.
So for that reason, I'm still on the miners. And of course, Euro Pound, you just mentioned, is one that is going against us at the moment. In fact, it's the only one that's going against us at the moment. We did trade Euro CAD for the third time last night. We only got a TP1 on that, now out of that position. But the other two are still running fairly well. Euro Pound's still in barely. We're barely still in Euro Pound, but well, there's life, there's hope, I suppose. The Euro CAD trade from last night in the US session, we had our stops just above monthly pivot. We got TP1, but that's about as good as it got. We got in on this bar here. And TP, I don't think we could have taken TP2 any sooner, really. Or we risk. Yeah, we only got 1-to-1 on it, really. If you, I suppose there was a case for taking a second profit there, but no. The other two stops are still at entry. I said yesterday, if you wanted to bank some money on this, and if you're in last night's session and you lost a little bit because we only got a TP1. Maybe you want to get a bit of that back. Then my suggestion would be move your stops to right about there. 156.98. I think I've got it. You could call it 157 if you wanted to lock in some more profit on either or one or both of those. The other option is if you're getting a little bit nervous because you're seeing these two bull bars here and potential for this to reverse and go the other way, then you could close one of the positions and bank some more profit and leave the other one open. There's many options there as to how you want to manage that. For mine, until this level gets broken, I'm not doing anything. And that's why I've put that level in there. If I see this level hit and we get a potential bounce, then I may look to scale in again. I thought that was a reasonable trade there yesterday, but no, the market said no. TP1 only for you, and that's as good as it got. Pound pairs, as you said, we're looking... no entry there yet on pound US dollar. The bigger trades that we've been in, pound Aussie looks to be the most vulnerable at this point. But I think whilst ever we're above the monthly pivot, we've got a good show of this going out the top side. But again, as I've said to, although that looks a bit ominous, I've got to say, I've said to my group for the last couple of days that it looks to me like a lot of these pairs are going into range.
Yeah, I see the same thing, mate. I see a bit of range coming actually.
Yeah, and this is definitely one of them. Pound Kiwi, not so much. I think we've broken out of that range that we're in, but yeah, it'll depend on what happens here. That bar there yesterday was a little bit interesting, but thus far we look to be fighting back on pound Kiwi. Of course, it was big news day yesterday for the Kiwi, and that bar is explicable, if you like, based on the whip soaring reaction that we saw, I guess, from the RBNZ statement, which really I haven't read yet. I have no idea what it said. But it looks like the market at this point in time, certainly from a pound point of view, is not too happy with the Kiwi, and the euro looks to be back on fire, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Pulling
looks
off
to
a
be
bit
back
now.
on. Yeah. Seeing some weakness coming back in with the dollar for sure.
Risk on, risk off, or can't we tell?
Oh, I don't think we can, mate. I think it's maybe just a little bit of any move to the downside. I'm going to treat as a bit of light relief for the market rather than anything else. I don't think we're going to get a major move today. We may do, but I'm trying to see whether there might be an opportunity. We might have to get into this FTSE a little bit earlier than oh no, maybe not. This thing we might have to get into it a little bit earlier than I wanted, but actually, you know what I'm going to do here? If I can't get my price, I'm just going to take the screen back briefly.
Yep.
If I don't get my price, then what I'm going to do is trade under this bar. You know, I'd like to get this price, but I might trade under that bar if I don't get it, because the market just seems to be quite keen to push down instead of up. So I'm just going to see whether it does. So let's move this. It's probably going to be at 19. I'll take it manually, but if this bar starts to break to the downside, then I'm just going to take the trade. There's still enough room. There we go. I'm going to take that in. Still enough room. I'm going to cancel this one now, and then just move those stops up myself. Looks like the target should be down here to me. I don't think we need to worry about that now. That's going to be at 15. So still would be a just shy of a 2-to-1. If we can get down to those lows down there on this one, and You know, it's difficult. I'll leave it up to you guys to decide what you're going to do with the trade. But because I think it's going to be a bit rangy, I think I will probably take all the profit there. Yes, it could come through, and it probably, you know, should do it in some respects. But I do think that this area is probably a buy area. The other possibility, in actual fact, you know what? I might change this. I might change this around, mate. And instead of doing that, what I will do, let's get rid of this take profit down here. Why can't I do that? Let's cancel the take profit. What I'm going to do is bring this line back in. Just make sure that level's right. Yeah, it looks about right to me. Now this is going to be dependent. Might be a bit more shallow than I'd initially recognized here. I think it's there. That's where I'm gonna. That's where I'm gonna play it. I think it's down there. Let's tighten it up to that level there. Yeah, so 61.80. So what I'm going to do, instead of taking profit, is I'm going to put in a buy order down there. At 61.80. What happened there? Buy limit. Oops. Oh, why is that not working now? There we go. I'm going to put that buy order in there. And the idea really is that we are in a pretty strong trend to the upside. So if it comes down to this 61.80, if it just goes up and takes me out, then it goes up and takes me out. But what I'm trying to trade here, what I'm trying to play, is the potential a bit of a ping pong move. So if it goes here, it's going to buy me in. So we're currently short, and that's going to buy in at 61.80. Now that leaves this first trade open initially. And I will wait for, and I'm not trying to make any money out of this trade at all. I'll wait to see if the market can come up to that particular point. And if it does, and I'll put a stop loss here. So if it comes in here, as soon as this one's triggered, I'll stop loss this one. And if the market goes through, then both trades are closed, meaning that there's nothing gained, nothing lost. So because my take profit was here, both, you know, that would just be, it's the same thing. You know, the only thing I'll be paying is what do they charge? A pip. In fact, less than a pip for brokers' fees to take the trade. But aside from that, it's going to be exactly the same. So if the trade comes through, meaning this one's still winning, but this one is now losing, then I'll close the trade and not try and manage this one at all. And when I say through, you know, that means that that I'm going to get a close down there. If it doesn't come through and the uptrend is still in existence, then we've got a freebie on our hands. And as long as it comes through and takes that area out, then we might well get into a bit of a higher range, meaning that we can leave this one on the market. But, you know, the upside is looking fairly strong now. But if I was going to trade long, I'd be trading long from down here anyway. So if we can get a little short in the market to kind of get us into that long, that'd be fantastic. So that's the idea, mate. We'll see if we can get a little ping pong trade going on here and buy the lower end of that.
Right, mate. That sounds like a plan. I'm just having a look at a chart at the moment that just looks amazing. I just want to compare it on. I'm looking on IFS WTI. I just want to compare it with XTI. Not that I'm interested in the commodity at all, but I just want to see something I just don't know that I've ever seen it before. Template. Sorry, I'll be with you in a tick. I'm playing by myself here.
Oh, no worries, mate. Oh, sorry, I thought this was a thing. Okay, no worries. We can talk about this trade a bit more. I'm just going to put make sure everything is in place there. I'll put that order in later on. Okay. I'll deal with that other one later on. Right, we'll see what happens here. Okay, well, we can look around the grounds. What have we got?
I'm good to go.
Are you good to go? Okay.
Yep. It's like a painting on IFS. If you have a look at the WTI chart, well, I'll take the screen and show you what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, Alan, I'm out of that. I'm out of that Dow trade. Are you still in? I can't remember where our stops were, but I thought our stops would have taken us out of that one. I got stopped out on mine. If you're still in though, I would stick with it. I think there's still some room for some down. If I was still in, I should say, if I was still in this trade, I would stick with it. We're still on my screen at the minute. No, we're not. We're on yours. Okay, we'll come back to it later. But yeah, maybe get those stops in a sensible place. I'm not sure what happened with that, but yeah.
This means nothing. I'm just killing time at the end of the day. Look at it. It's like ducks going in a straight line along.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that is a strange one, isn't it? That is the perfect triangle pattern almost.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Anyway, that's all I really wanted to show you. I just happened to be looking at that and I said, holy dolly. It's as though someone's painted them on there.
That's XTI, is it?
That is WTI.
WTI.
On the weekly chart. And it doesn't compare to, that's XTI on the same weekly chart. Yeah. Anyway, I just thought that was of interest. Sorry. Back to you now. The question about euro pound from Sanjay. Did I not mention that 10 minutes ago? You mustn't have been in the room, mate. Very quickly, I'll show you. That's in all sorts. And where it is. Euro pound there. Still in, but barely. Only just in. And nothing to show for it at this point. If we hang on here, then it'll be more good luck than good fortune, I think. Although it's still a lower high in potential. But yeah, I'm certainly not holding my breath on that. If it goes where I think at last count something like 1,000 pips to the good on the balance of the trades. So to lose this one's not going to be the end of the world. So, yeah, it's in trouble. There's no question about that. But I'm not doing, well, what are you going to do now? There's nothing you can do now. It's in the lap of the gods, I'm afraid. Or the trading gods, that is. So there you go, mate. Back to you.
Yeah, just for Alan, really, just because of this, we were in this trade yesterday. I'm not sure how you managed to stay in, but it's great if you have. Okay, let's have a look. So the US 100. Yeah, the reason I'd stick with this now is because that looks to me like there is a trend line there, and we're just underneath it. We got these daily pivots. I mean, the daily pivot is problematic for the FTSE as well, and it does need to get under that point. But you can see that on the 15-minute chart, it looks to me like it's under that point. And there's your other area there, which looks like it's holding out. So I would suggest staying with that Dow trade. I can't even remember the price of that one. Can't remember the price. I can't remember where the stops were. And I'm not sure why I've got taken out and you haven't, but maybe that's you got a stop loss. Okay, so maybe Alan forgot to put one in, which is fortunate. You know, might just be a fortunate thing. But yeah, I'd stick with that, mate. I think that looks okay. Similar to the FTSE. You like the FTSE, like the Dow. I think they both look like interesting trades just for a short-term move. and they could turn into longer term moves that, because we still have this issue with Capitol Hill. But the one thing about this FTSE trade, and I would really encourage you not to get drawn into, and I say this because I think it's easily done, not to get drawn into keeping them both open and trying to manage them both open. Because what will potentially happen here is, if this is to weaken, if the Capitol Hill scenario does end up providing an opportunity for a short, then what we'd probably look at is entering on a similar price, but on a retracement instead. So it won't be that far away from this point, and it'd be a lot safer. And I can tell you from experience, keeping keeping both these trades open and trying to manage the other one turns a profitable trade into a very, very difficult trade to make profit out of. So let's not get drawn into that. I'm sure you guys won't risk that, but I wouldn't suggest doing anything but trading this in the way that it's designed. So going long here. I mean, you don't have to do the ping pong trade, but if you get the opportunity, and if you want to trade the ping pong trade, because of course you may make no money at all, and all this is doing is potentially giving us a free opportunity. So if this ends up ping ponging up, and we're in a longer term move, fantastic. If it makes nothing, no problem. If we get down here, that is. But if it starts to crash through, then close. My advice would be to close it off and don't get drawn into trying to manage something there, because it does become an absolute nightmare, and just way too hard to think about.
Mate, go and place an order.
Yep. Okay.
Pound Swissy, and it will be a buy. And we're going to buy the top of this bar right here, and we're going to take profit just before the top of this bar. So entry levels coming. Oh, I can use the EA. Get excited here. Breakout 2.1. Open high close of the bar number 1. There we go. Bar high is 1.1890, so we'll make that 1.1891 will be the entry. Stop loss will be whatever that red thing is, 1.18815, I think it is. Bar low, yes, 1.1882 becomes 1.1881. So 10 pips. 881. And there we go. Doesn't like it. Why? What did I put? It is a buy stop. 1.1891, 1.8881 is the stop loss. So what's wrong with that? Is there too much dot there? There is too much dot there. Really? Oh, don't like it. Buy stop 1.1891. Yeah. $1.1881 stop loss. Nothing wrong. Let me try and place it again. Buy stop. You'd wonder how I ever get a trade on, wouldn't you? Entry price 1.1891. Stop loss 1.1881. Oh, I give up. Maybe the EA can do it for me. Let's try that. Do I? Yes, I do. Righto. Okay. Strategy. Slingshot. This would be the way to do it too, wouldn't it? Second bar. So we'll just go break of bar number 2. And we'll amend TPs and things. So that's a buy. Whoa. It's doing up. Is that the TP? I hope it is. What did that become? 1.1895. Okay. Looks right. TP1 is there as 6 pips. We want it to be about 8, don't we? So TP1 is 8 pips. And we will close half, or a bit more than half if you want, as I am. And we'll move our stops 8 pips from entry. That will do. Target, you can leave the target where it is for now. TP2 we don't need. Modify, TP1's now in the right place. Righto, so the parameters are not what I said, but what the EA is telling me. 1.1895 is the entry level. Stop loss is 14 pips. And we're going to close TP1 at 8 pips profit with half of, or 0.55 as I've got it there, coming off the table. At which points we will move our stops 8 pips from entry, making it a free or slightly better than free trade. May I know the trade line to your slingshot trade on pound Swissy? That's this one, right? Pound Swissy. Yes, sure. It's a great question, actually, because there actually is none. What I'm trading here is a double bottom that you can see there. And so it's more of a freestyle trade rather than a slingshot trade. Double bottom and the higher low, which is a black bar. And that's what I like to see. And it has closed above the monthly pivot. And the monthly pivot, of course, is offering us support, having been broken and retested. So it's a bit of a freestyle trade rather than a slingshot setup. So there is no trade line. Again, Sino, free trade, so it's not following the absolute slingshot rules, which is 15 pips. And 15 pips, mind you, is a nominal price or a nominal target that I go into in depth in many courses and strategy leader coaching things that I do. But essentially, and I'll give you I'm not hiding it from you. It's based really on what the ATR is doing at the time. So if the ATR is down, in other words, the volatility is low, then generally I will reduce that 15 pips to suit whatever the ATR is. So for instance, if the ATR over 5 years is 100, yet the current ATR is 75, that allows me to reduce my candle size by 25%. So instead of being 15, it would then become, 11. That basically is the system that I use. So it's based a lot on what the ATRs, and for good reason, because if the price is only moving 50 pips in a day, and you're using 15 to 30 pips as a master candle, you're not going to get too many trades in, frankly. So that's pretty much the loose description as to why 15 pips, apart from as in the freestyle trade. That's the reason why I haven't got those parameters in place. No trade line, no 15 pips. Okay, hope that helps. I might just briefly go through the 30-minute charts, mate.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, mate. This the FTSE's quite sleepy. In fact, the markets are generally a little bit sleepy so far this morning.
Okay, so what I'll actually go to the market scanner, which I rarely use, but I find that this may indeed be a bit useful. So I'll start with the top. You're welcome, Sino. And let's go with Aussie CAD. I'm just scanning here to see if there's anything of interest, to be honest. Then we'll go back and do a little bit of analysis on it. So same sort of thing as we just saw on pound Swissy. We've got a double bottom. We've got a potential higher low here. This looks to be a little bit bearish, this bar, of course. The difference here is we had to close below the daily pivot, whereas on pound Swiss, we haven't closed below the monthly pivot. So I'm happy to trade that one. But I've got my eye on that. That now comes under my attention. So if we do get a reversal bar here, it may be worth having a look at. Aussie Swissy was one of my watch lists yesterday, and we were looking to trade that short, if my memory serves me correctly. I'll just have a look at my little, what did I have yesterday? Aussie Swissy and Euro Pound short. Well, Euro Pound didn't work out, but Aussie Swissy did. Why did we trade Euro Pound then instead of Aussie? One of those things, eh? Where are we at now? Yeah, nowhere really. We're looking to make a double bottom here perhaps, or just smash through. We will see. Aussie yen, it was also bearish Aussie yen earlier in the week, and that hadn't panned out at all. Is there anything there that's interesting? Double top, lower high, perhaps nothing significant there in terms of a lower high. So bounce off daily pivot back to here, maybe give us that lower high that we're looking for. Then we can look to trade it short, but there's nothing there at the moment. Aussie Kiwi, this has been on fire. Aussie Kiwi, and I've been looking to play it in the opposite direction, but there's just nothing turned up in terms of a setup. It still seems to want to continue its merry ways to the high side. Big bar there yesterday, wasn't there, on the news coming out of New Zealand, and potentially we've got double topish here, but there's nothing to trade. Certainly an untested daily pivot interests me, but there is a trade line really. We could probably look to slip through there, find that high, get back underneath and retest it. That would be a case to trade short. We might look at that a little bit in the US show later in the day. We will indeed do that. There's another option there for us as well. I think I'm the only one on the planet wants to trade that, and that makes me happy. Aussie US dollar. We've noticed that the US dollar has regained a little bit over the last few weeks, or is it a couple of weeks? But as I said earlier, it looks to me like it's going back into a range. And for that reason, I think I'll probably be looking to trade all of these as range trades as well. There's potential for that range to form, but it's not there yet. Also, a little rough on the head and shoulders side of things, but maybe that's there as well. In fact, that becomes interesting. Because if that's a neckline and we get a retest here, that might be an interesting trade short. We'll have a look at that. Okay, so that's Aussie. I won't go through the whole lot of these guys, but if we have time a little bit later and I don't find anything, maybe we can come back to those that I've just mentioned. Aussie US dollar. I don't want to trade with the US dollar, I've got to say. Aussie Swissy. Good range. Yeah, could be. Yeah, absolutely. You've got a tight little range in here. Or was I on the wrong chart? Let me go back there. Yeah, this looks really interesting. As I say, big double bottom potentially forming here. This could be a big W. Could be. Very, very early days to call that, but we shall see. Euro Aussie was another one I was interested in this morning, and I was looking to play this short Euro Aussie. And at this point in time, that doesn't even look like it was a consideration at any stage today. They've just gone bang. That's okay, because what it does do is it brings it to a resistance level. And here we are again. We've been here quite a few times. That's not a bad thing. I'll also be looking at that for a potential reversal as well, or reversal of daily, well, the last 2 days trend, if you like. So Aussie, Euro Aussie still on my watch list. There were 2 others, Pound Swissy, that we've already taken a trade on, or we've got an order on. Was one that hasn't done anything yet, has it? Nope. And the other was Pound Yen, opposite direction. And I'm still of that opinion. Maybe this little toppy looking thing here is giving us a very strong indication that there is a potential reversal on, but you've also got a little structure within the structure here on the 4-hour chart with a very clear ascending triangle, or very clear to me, and I was clear to everybody. Now, the general consensus, of course, is that ascending triangles break to the high side. I would contend that they also break to the low side. It's just a consolidation pattern at the end of the day. So I'd be willing to look at this either way, and probably as a false break if it were to the high side. If it were to the low side, then I'd be looking for something like this and trade it short. If it were to the high side, I'd still be looking for exactly that, but after we come back inside. So something of that nature. That's just to go along with what I'm seeing. But if it does break out, then of course away she can go. And that won't do my other trades any harm at all. That's for sure. All right, mate, I'll, for the want of not being too boring, I think we'll just change tack for a bit. Pound Yen monthly from Nicole, top of channel, not expecting it to move back into the channel. Pound Yen monthly. I don't have that channel in because I haven't been trading Pound Yen, I suppose. How big? This channel here, I'm guessing. Maybe coming from there. I'll go with that.
Yeah, I see a channel there.
And that. In there somewhere?
Well, I tell you what, mine actually is an equidistant channel, and it's just picking out the highs, and then there's something on the lows as well.
So you're going up here?
Yeah.
Yep, I'll go with either one.
Yeah.
The reason I go with this one is because it's got more tests.
Yeah, which is important. Yeah, I see that.
So yeah, I kind of like that one a little bit more.
Yeah, it's tighter on the bottom actually as well, isn't it? Yeah, it looks like we are right on top of that level too.
So Nicole, yes, I see your points, but there's also evidence to suggest that where price is right now, the horizontal level has been respected quite consistently through here as well. So I'm with you. Pound Yen is definitely, and that was exactly what I was looking for in the first place, wasn't it? But from a different point of view. But I do like the level, absolutely do. So eyes front on this one, Pound Yen, looking for a short. I'll look for it to come back into the range, as I said, and try and play that false break if it were to appear.
It looks like a right shoulder as well, that range on a monthly chart.
Yeah, bit ugly.
Bit ugly, yeah.
But I see where you're coming from. Shukri's in the house. Prepare everyone. Oh no, Shukri was just. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you in the room. So that's probably it from me for now. I think pound Swissy still not triggered. Pound, is the pound triggered? Yes, it has. Or has it? How can I tell from here? Got to get rid of that. What was our buy price? 30. Oh no, what has it? Not yet. So we are still waiting for the pound to trigger. And don't forget, the system these days is TP1, which I've got at 130.94. We will then move our stops to 12 pips from entry, because that's what we'll be taking off the table at that point, and we'll be closing half. And then the rest, we just let run rampant and hope it just takes off and doesn't come back for the next week or so. That'd be good.
Yeah, sleepy markets, mate. I mean, there's literally no volatility at all. I'm just looking at the VIX. VIX is down to VIX is now down to 23.30 and dropping, and it looks to me like we are getting into a bit of a phase of kind of. It's going to be quiet, and you know what this suggests is that if we can get into some longer term trades, this is one of those things that if we kind of analyze the VIX normally suggests that that when it spikes, we can, day trading is much easier, and when it just dies, then looking at longer term time frames is much easier. So really, I would suggest to everybody to go back to their original. The thing that they learned originally, not really not a bad time to be looking at the Wave Rider, or to some longer term trade ideas rather than looking at these short term moves, because the short term moves have just dropped off. I mean, I'm talking mostly about the indices, of course, because that's what I watch the most. But I think if we start looking at some longer term timeframes, we may well be in better shape, because the volatility is just dropped off, and for us to pick up any volatility, then it's probably going to most likely be on longer term timeframes rather than these short term timeframes. So that FTSE trade that we are currently in, if it does manage to get down to that price point that we have as a target, it does suggest that the it's less likely to go anywhere else, and it actually does suggest that we probably will get a bit of a ping pong as well. I don't think we're going through that area, so it might be time to switch tactic here a little bit.
Yeah, well, you probably noticed I haven't been trading too many 30-minute or hourly charts at all recently. And that is part of the reason, because I think the volatility is very, very difficult to get a good roll on. Very difficult indeed.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, mate. I think we can look at some longer term timeframes, and it probably would be better to trade some of those longer term patterns. I still really like the euro pound. Just looking through some of those. Let's just have a quick. I'll just grab the screen quickly.
Yeah, mate, go. Well, you're certainly looking better than I am at the moment, because you're not in.
Well, it's not really gone anywhere, to be honest, mate. I think we're about maybe 4.
Yesterday it did the damage for me.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was a big moves yesterday. But yeah, just looking across the board here, and if we were to look right across everything, then switching to a 4-hour or daily chart would not be the worst practice in the world. I'm just going to change this to clean. So let's start with looking at some dailies. Aussie CAD had this level here. Aussie CAD looks like like it's in a buy zone, and you'd be looking at some of those. I think the thing with it, actually, looking at it, we are looking at longer term plays here, but quite honestly, it doesn't mean straight away that we have any setups. But what I'm suggesting is that maybe the setups have to come from some of these longer term timeframes. How can I get rid of this annoying fib now? Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Okay. Let me just see if that fib's on there. There it is. So yeah, that's in a range, and we'd need to see that that pop out of that. Aussie yen looks like it's at the top end of a range, interestingly.
Yeah, it's on my watch list.
Yes, this one's quite an interesting one actually. I think Aussie yen for a short wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Not the easiest pattern to trade there, but yeah, it could be something there. Aussie Kiwi took off. Is this the one that Justin was in?
Yes, he's been in Aussie Kiwi for a while. Yep.
Yeah, he liked the long on that, didn't he?
Yep.
So he's doing well with that one. Right, really, we're going to need to start out here. Let's start this again. So we're on the monthly. That's probably needing some pullback. Definitely. You know, if we're looking at longer term timeframes, then we need to be really trading with the primary move. The primary move in the Aussie CAD is to the upside, but it looks like some retracement first. Aussie, yeah. Oh, sorry, Aussie Swiss is of interest for some downside, I think, mate. I don't know whether you've looked at that one, but that looks pretty good for some downside. Yeah, right on top of some a resistance point there. Just breaking out of this particular range would be the key, and it's right on it's on the edge of doing that. So the Aussie Swissy for a short might be of interest. Look at that monthly bar there.
That was one of my watches for yesterday, and couldn't find a way in.
Well, there might be maybe a break of the low of the monthly bar there on the Aussie Swissy could be of interest. Now, I don't know what that would look like on a Wave Rider. Probably not setting up. I will double check some of these on Wave Riders as well. Let me just bring in my Wave Rider here.
Actually got to set up on that on the daily chart today, Aussie Swissy, except that it's a no-no because of the previous bar. I've got a high test bar followed by a low test bar, and I just don't trade them.
Yeah, there's no setup there on the Wave Rider either.
To answer your questions, guys, Crystal, your question, it will start next Monday. Those of you who don't know, actually, we've only just had those meetings in the last 24 hours. So first half hour, yes, will be free to air on Facebook of the US session. And the subscription show, of course, will follow that.
Aussie yen looks interesting. Aussie yen looks like definitely looking at some downside on Aussie yen.
Yep.
So it looks to me like these Aussie pairs against some of these defensive currencies actually they're not ready. But if I was going to be picking anything, then it would probably be these defensive currency pairs over the risk-on currency pairs. So Aussie is the classic, obviously, and the yen and the Swissy are the two that go against that. But looking at this on the monthly chart, that is looking quite interesting for some moves now on both Aussie yen short and Aussie Swissy short as well. Aussie Kiwi, that's not yet convincing. But it has started to stretch its way to the upside. So that could get caught in a range by the end of the month. Watch out for Aussie Kiwi. Looks like 108.56 needs to be the area it's got to genuinely take out. Trend line there. That high is probably the area it needs to remain above with some significance.
Thanks, Alan. Yeah, we've been triggered long on the pound.
Long on the pound, fantastic. Okay.
Well, I'll tell you if it's fantastic in a while.
um,
It's bang on the weekly pivot, which is not ideal, but
to be honest, mate, I'm when I said fantastic, I meant because that might help my footsie trade.
right, okay.
I didn't want to hear it going short. That probably wouldn't help the footsie. Looks to me that this one could retrace, but we probably should stick with the Aussie dollar long. That would be a difficult one to reverse. If we like the Aussie short, which looks like we could do, then those defensive ones look better than the Aussie dollar. I suppose there's no point in going through all of these, but I suppose my point really that I'm making here is that we are after longer term. We are after some longer term moves in this market rather than short term moves because things have changed. The environment.
Didn't mention my disappointment of the week, which of course was Aussie CAD. I missed the entry on. Well, not that I missed the entry. It wasn't there really at the end of the day.
Yeah. Aussie CAD.
Aussie CAD, yep, has done well this week. If you were on the short side of that, you would be 100 odd up.
Nice inverted head and nice head and shoulders pattern there, mate.
Yeah, it was
really clean, isn't it?
And then when I missed the entry down to the head and shoulders or down to the neckline, was preying on a PREYING on a retest of that day's daily pivot, which of course was yesterday, and the neckline, but didn't happen. So yeah, haven't been able to get in.
There's our head and shoulders. I don't know whether you're still interested in this one at all, mate, but it looks to me like this one has got some room to run if this pattern is to play out fully.
As I say, the neckline just didn't get retested yet. Maybe if it does, there'll be something there for me.
Yeah, it looks like it's coming back down. According to the patterns anyway, it suggests that the 920, 93.92, 0.9392. That looks like a pretty attractive target. I don't know whether that's what you were looking at, but that looks pretty good to me.
I don't know that I had a target in mind, but that looks reasonable.
Let's just have a look at this too. Yeah, that looks okay as well. I mean, it's never easy drawing trend lines because they're so subjective. Trying to find exactly where things are going to turn. But if we were looking at these touches here, that leads us there. I don't love the trend line. I think it's a bit messy, but that looks like a pretty good spot. But yeah, you could literally go through all these guys, and I would suggest we do so as well. Have a look through the ones that we like. Now, it would still be good to find some volatility even on short term on the longer term time frames. There still has to be a suggestion that gold and silver would be quite high on the list for speculative moves. Now, on the monthly on gold and silver, then we need to really be picking out the previous highs. Don't see a decent trend line. It's fairly parabolic that move, so not so easy to find. But if we went down to the dailies, then we see that there's probably a level down here somewhere. So 1820 between 1820 and 1850, I think would be a potential buying opportunity with gold. Before that, there may well be buying opportunities, but they're just not going to seem quite as attractive. So around about that 1820 mark.
Guys, did you take your first profit on pound Swissy? Pound Swissy's just gone through TP1.
Well done, guys. Well done, Jeff. Nice move.
So far, so good.
So far, so good. Yeah, that's fantastic. So, same with silver. We're probably looking at the 2340 area for a long. Or certainly to start looking at the long. It could drop all the way right, down to these one of these three areas as well. That point there looks okay. and this point here looks pretty good as well. So 1840 would be as long as I'd want to stick with that long, but structurally this has got a long way to go before it actually changes and reverses the trend. So the trend looks like it's pretty solid to the upside. Now, yesterday's bar was a hold, so there'll probably be some interest in silver here and right now, but would not be my particular flavor. So I'd prefer probably this area here. Looks like around about the $21 per ounce. I think would be pretty good on silver. So we can still kind of look at some things that have some volatility. Actually, looking at that, the euro dollar is also another one which would be of interest because of the fact that it's so heavily weighted for the dollar index.
Sorry, mate. I'm in trade management mode at the moment.
No, that's okay, mate. I was just actually I was actually quiet because I've seen something that surprised me a little. It does look like there's a bit of a yeah. You see, even within this range, I would suggest the euro dollar is a long. It could do with a little bit of catching up with the trend line. And that's what we probably want to see, maybe a few days, right up until near the end of August. If this is still holding here, it may well look then to test the trend line, but we could start looking at some opportunities with something like euro dollar as well. So I think there are opportunities, but we do have to switch. As I say, we're going to be switching our time horizon. And I think that as long as we're prepared to do that, then we'll be okay. Trying to day trade on things that just don't exist is it's one of the sure ways to the poorhouse, and it's just not going to be advisable in this particular environment to try and go in for anything too short term. If you want to pick up a few percent on your trades, it's going to be tricky. It's going to be a tricky thing to do. So I'd be
just
a little bit more
if you've got golden setups, obviously trade them, but
yeah.
Don't go hunting them. I agree.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's not a bad phase right now because we're in a bit of transition, so you can let things settle down, and if things just do go very, very quiet, which they tend to in the summer. I mean, we've had an extraordinary move really in some of these markets, considering it is the summer months, but summer does tend to be a little bit quieter, and maybe things are a bit more settled. Now we're back to the highs again in the equity markets. Things are just going to potentially settle down a little bit. So we can wait and just allow it to take shape and see what we can grab later down the line.
Consolidation, yum! Can't wait.
Yeah,
bring it on.
Yeah. Your favourite scenario.
Yeah, I can see they're starting to shape up.
Okay, so really that's pretty much it. We've still got this FTSE 100 trade running, and so far it looks okay. Looks like it's starting to move in our favour actually now a bit better. Let's just have a look at that again. Yeah, it looks like it's moving in our favour a bit more now. Now it's broken those lows, feeling a bit more comfortable about this. So we will check this out as we go. Entries down there for the long, and we'll see if we get that, and then we will see how we can manage this later down the line. But that's really me for right now, mate.
Yep, me too, mate. As I say, you guys should have taken 2p1 on pound Swissy. Pound is just a little bit out of the money at the moment. Let's hope that can continue on its merry way to the high side, and we can bank some money before we get into the US session, mate.
Fantastic. Okay, thanks very much, guys, for listening. We are wrapped up on the week. We've got some trades that are in profit as well as we leave you for this week, which is a nice way to go. And we'll see some of you in the US show later on. But for the rest of you, we'll see you next Monday at 5 to 8.
Yep, have a wonderful weekend, guys. That's the dates, and don't be late.